Maine is crazy expensive, especially when it comes to property values. And we're going to talk about why that's been happening over the last few years and shine some light on all that. So let's do this. First off, just, a quick overview on some things. The current real estate market here in Maine is, again, property values are way up. Things are still selling very quickly, although there's some lulls depending on the time of year. Summer kind of, mellows out. Winter and spring typically skyrockets up. It's all because of low inventory. Demand is still out there, even though interest rates have risen, but that's kind of the current state of the market right now. And we kind of see a lot of that continuing on. Prices will continue to go up, maybe not as drastically as they have over the last few years, but it will continue to hopefully go up at least at a normal pace, which is what we really need, actually. A couple things to touch on is, population growth and like the influx of new residents and tourism here in the state of Maine. When COVID happened, we ended up just getting inundated with, people that wanted to come here from all over the country, really, because, when COVID happened and like everybody was trapped in their house, of course, everybody started to Google, where can I go? A light was kind of shined on Maine. Our COVID numbers were pretty good. Our population is lower, so our COVID numbers were low. We're spread out more. Property values at the time were certainly more reasonable. So, anybody looking to move to Maine, especially from, we were getting a lot of East Coast, West Coast, that are looking to come here. I was surprised on the amount of phone calls that we were getting from the West Coast, because you might remember at the time, not only was there COVID, but there was a lot of fires going on over there, and people were just calling us like, hey, I got to get out of here. And, Maine was an attractive state, again, just everybody looking at the numbers. And of course, we're a coastal, state. And obviously it's beautiful here. I wouldn't necessarily say flocked here, but certainly more people were coming here than we were used to, or at least we were getting a lot more calls from out of state. That was a big thing, that influx there, that kind of surged, through that time frame there. And it's still happening, really. People are still coming here. We got that reputation of being a great place to go. Our next kind of point that we were going to talk about was the remote work. A lot of people were like, well, geez, I work from home now. I think a lot of companies in general, kind of realized like, hey, our employees can work from anywhere. In particular, a lot of like software, engineers, in the IT world where you can legitimately work from anywhere. A lot of those people were like, hey, Maine's great, let's come here. So we're still seeing a lot of that because remote work is very common nowadays, and Maine's very attractive from that stuff. We have great infrastructure as far as high-speed internet goes, and so people are able to come here and work from home and do remote work very easily from the state of Maine. I think that's also kind of given us a surge there. But as far as like why things are so expensive, it's very much like supply and demand. We just don't have enough housing. We've talked in a lot of videos over the past few years about housing shortage, and some of that has to do with like regulations and things like that probably might need to open up a little bit and be a little bit more forgiving. Now the state has done a couple of good things to help out with that over the last couple of years, but I think we got a lot of land here, and I think we can come up with ways to add more housing and not affect the environment too much, but allow for more housing to be built, because I think that's one thing that a lot of builders and investors, hit some brick walls when it comes to, I want to develop something, and it's just harder to find here in Maine because of some regulations. But there are possibilities and there are opportunities there to do that. So hopefully we can, do more. Labor costs have gone up. It's harder to find good labor. Material costs have gone up. All those things have gone up because of inflation, the inflation that we're in right now. So, and Maine has been hit, by that. So that does bring costs way up and affects your cost of living here in the state of Maine. Just a quick note, we've had a lot of surge of like short-term rental, Airbnbs and VRBO properties here in Maine, and we're addressing a lot of concerns around that in different communities and where they should be and shouldn't be. So that's all. And while we're working all that out, of course, the cost of those things have gone way up. Hopefully this helps. We've done some videos out there to help give you some tips and tricks on, when you're buying in this type of market. So I'd recommend checking out those. And if you're selling a property, of course, in this market, we can give you some tips, and we've done some videos on that. So check all that out. I guess the biggest thing when it comes to cost of living and property cost here in the state of Maine is to just educate yourself. And if you have any questions around anything, let us know. Comment below. We'd love to hear from you. And remember, If you make Maine your home, you don't have to do it alone. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel and one of these buttons over here. You get a lot of great information about real estate, the state of Maine, cool things to do, all that kind of stuff. And of course, if you have any questions at any time, comment below or hit us up on all social media platforms, and we'd love to help you out. And we love talking about Maine and real estate in Maine.